Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to another revisiting series, revisiting the Sentai I have seen for the 50th anniversary. Today we're doing Deca Ranger. Just a note at the beginning, I did say last time I was looking for feedback about, doing this with the video on me or the audio, and some of you did, offer some thoughts on that in Power Ranger, and I appreciate it. I was planning on actually going back to the face camera on me. That was a weird way of saying that for this video, but they're doing construction in my building complex, and so it's just a lot of pounding. Heyo! So I'm just taking this opportunity to really quickly record this while they're on lunch break, because otherwise I just don't have time to set everything up and record before the noises start. So I will return with Magi Ranger with an on-camera thing, because I actually have props for that, sort of, if that makes any sense. Anyway, you'll see what I mean when I get to that video. But let's talk about Doogie and Dekaranger. So the story of how I watched this didn't have any special circumstance like some of the early videos where I did a book club or anything. It was kind of like Power Ranger, where it's just oh, this is the next one on the list. And it's funny because watching this, I think I've mentioned this before, but I have a different experience, I think, than a lot of Sentai PR fans when watching Sentai for the first time, whereas I feel like 99% of people watch the Sentai and they're like, oh, this is superior, and then they move to Eagleton and then always take shots at PR and talk about how much better Sentai is. And I feel like I'm sort of the opposite, not in the sense that I turn on Sentai, where I do appreciate Sentai and I appreciate what they're able to do that we don't and how different it is, but more often than not, it makes me appreciate the PR season and what we did different. And Deca Ranger was one of those where it made me really appreciate SPD more. I definitely prefer SPD. I like Deca Ranger, but I definitely prefer SPD. I mean, it has Buttery. Case closed. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yes. Talking about appreciating SPD, because I like that they took the framework of Deca Ranger, but then yet again, what PR seems to often do is make it different with a unique villain that we have that I think elevates the series. And not to mention, I like that they kind of gave it a more serialized story, because Deca Ranger is more of an episodic series, kind of, like a procedural, procedural. I don't know why I said it like that, like Kripke. It's a police procedural, guys. Anyway, a procedural, and it kind of is more episodic. And I did like it, and it was one of the few more episodic Sentai series that leans that way that I enjoyed. But I like that SPD was able to string that together into something unique with Grum and then the A Squad, and having that sort of underdog feel of them being the B team. This is more about SPD than anything, but I wanted to bring that up because that was part of my experience, was appreciating SPD more via watching this. Now, as far as Deca Ranger goes, it's a classic middle of the road experience for me. Not in the sense that it's a mid-series, but in terms of the spectrum of something like Ninja that I have a very negative opinion and memory of, or something like Go Busters that I have a very high opinion of. This is right in the middle, where it was just an all-around good Sentai experience with ups and downs, but I do have a fondness for it that I didn't realize until I revisited the Returns movies. They did the Deca Ranger Returns 20th a little while ago, and I was let me rewatch the previous Returns movie / finally watch those Gavin movies, because I was so bitter and annoyed at them trying to make metal heroes happen in the middle of Sentai that I never checked them out. So I watched those all in preparation for the 20th anniversary movie, which I still have not watched, so I need to get on that. Man, you got to get on that. But anyway, and I really enjoyed those. I've forgotten a lot about I think it was the 10th anniversary one, and that was quite good, I have to say. And it made me realize how much I actually was kind of nostalgic and fond of this cast and setting, as it was really nice to see them again. And likewise, the Gavin movies, or was there one or two? I don't even remember. I feel in my head there's two. I feel I'm having a Mandela moment. Regardless, if there was one or two, I enjoyed myself. And it made me realize how much I missed the cast. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing about Sentais, whether you have a middle opinion or a high opinion of them. It's really telling, I think, for me, how much you like that series, how much you're kind of fond of it and missing it, or how happy you are to see the characters again. Like with Power Ranger, I really enjoyed the Returns movie because I thought it captured the feel of it. And I had a similar feeling with Deca Ranger. It's kind of like with Boom Boomger now, I'm experiencing this nostalgia just because of how lukewarm I am on Go Juger. I kind of miss the feel of Boom Boomger, and I really got that feel from revisiting Deca Ranger, as it's a very memorable cast. It's one of those series that's kind of like Den-O or Kyoryuger, what the hell am I saying? Kyoryuger, or here, Time Force, Dino Thunder, I guess, and ones that are kind of have that magic in a bottle cast in terms of it's pretty popular. Deca Ranger's one of the more popular ones. They keep returning. They're like the David Tennant of Sentais in terms of returning. And I see why. Honestly, the only member of the cast I really don't like is Bond, because he's that very classic loudmouth character. I've always been a big fan of, my God, I'm going to say I'm a big fan of him and I can't remember his name. Is it Shinji? No, it can't be. What's Blue's name? I could look it up, but this is part of my charm. So Phil, the blue Dekaranger, I've always liked him and I'm a big fan of his despite not knowing his name. classic me. And then of course we got an actual human character for Deca Break instead of a ball of light, which I've never been as mad at the ball of light thing as most people. Like, yeah, it was a disappointment, but like, God, get over it, guys. I definitely prefer having an actual character here for that, so that was nice. And then of course you have Doogie, and I saw recently like a debate circulating about which one was better. Now, I do prefer our look for Dog. Actually, I prefer him overall, but I really like both. Like, I really like Decaranger's Doogie because of the way that that is said. But also, I like his design. It doesn't look as realistic as our design, but I do like the design of it, and I like the character. I think him and Phil are my two favorite Decarangers, and I've always really liked his character, but I think ours edges it out slightly just because John Toohey, I just love John Toohey, but also it's kind of remarkable if you think about it, what we were able to do with that suit in terms of like the Disney budget and it looking so good. Like, it didn't make as much sense for the morphing with his head being larger, but who cares? That's why they call it morphing. And I love the design kind of leaning towards this scaly alien feel. This really is more of an SPD retrospective, to be honest with you. It's just making me want to watch SPD. But I thought I'd talk about that because it reminded me of it recently when people were comparing and contrasting it. And I have to say the designs in this series are really good too. They have really good, clean suits. Definitely probably at least top 20, if not top 10 suits, you know, and then the extra Ranger suits, Shadow Ranger and Deca Break being some of my all-time favorites. Shadow Ranger, I like how I used one of each for that because this is a half SPD retrospective, again, to be honest. And the mecha too. Like, I think the SWAT one's pretty neat. I really do like the base. The bike robo's fine, but I really like the Delta Squad Megazord. It has a very cartoony look to it that I think like really is leaned into with SPD when they use those comic book panels, yet again talking about SPD. But yeah, really clean designs for this. But yeah, all around, I would say Dekaranger was a good, solid experience for me. Like I said, not middle of the road. Not like if middle of the road's like a 5, this would be like a 7 in terms of it didn't tip the scales to being an all-timer, but it certainly wasn't one that I wasn't that fond of. It's definitely one that was sometimes nice to just have that. Like this and Boom Boondra, I would say is comparable, where they're just a good, solid year of Sentai, where I enjoyed myself. It wasn't too much enjoyment. It wasn't too little. It was just right. It was the Goldilocks of Sentais. It's just enough that when I see the characters again, that I feel nostalgic for it. So for me, I'm going to have to put this on the B tier. It's on the very high end of the B tier, though. I think like objectively, it's probably A tier, but for me personally, B tier. But anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Let me know what your thoughts are on Power Rangers SPD and maybe Deca Ranger, I guess, if you want to talk about that. This is the video mainly about SPD, if we're being real with ourselves. But anyway, next time, Magi Ranger, hopefully they'll be done with replacing the roofing and siding here, and I'll be on camera because I do have like some props. I think that's the wrong word, but some things to show off in regards to my experience with the Magi Ranger series. But anyways, guys, until next time, Dawson Ryder signing out.